Hello everybody. Today we will discuss about freedom. Friends, in today's lecture we will completely cover the whole chapter in one shot. So without any delay, let's get further into the video. Friends, this chapter contains the story of Nelson Mandela, Aung San Suu Kyi, freedom, aspects of freedom, sources of constraints, why do we need constraints, harm principle, liberalization, negative and positive liberty, and at last, this chapter ends with our last topic, that is freedom of expression. So let's begin with the story of Nelson Mandela. Friends, Nelson Mandela wrote all of his struggles related to the apartheid system and the freedom of South Africa in his book Long Walk to Freedom. Friends, in this book, he talks about his struggle against the apartheid system done by the whites in South Africa. For this freedom, he spent 28 years in prison. In this autobiography, he talks about the resistance of his people to the segregist policies of the white regime, about the humiliations, hardships, and police brutalities suffered by the black people of South Africa. Friends, for Mandela and his colleagues, it was the struggle against such unjust constraints, the struggle to remove the apartheid system and the obligations to the freedom of all the people of South Africa. Friends, besides enjoying the life as other people lived by playing games, by watching TVs or movies, by traveling to the other places, beside all this, Mandela spent all his life concentratedly and dedicatedly on the freedom. Friends, it is amazing that Mandela loved boxing, besides he never played it. He just concentrated and dedicated on his freedom. His freedom means the freedom of the people of South Africa. Now let's discuss the second story of Aung San Suu Kyi. Friends, she is a lady belonging to Myanmar and wrote a book called Freedom from Fear. She says, "For me, the real freedom is the freedom from fear, and unless you can live free from fear, you can't live a dignified human life." For Aung San Suu Kyi, living a dignified human life requires us to be able to overcome such fear. She believed in the Gandhian thoughts of non-violence, and this was the source of inspiration for her. She remained under the house arrest in Myanmar, separated from her children and unable to visit her husband when he was dying of cancer, because she feared that if she left Myanmar to visit him in England, she would not be able to return. Some of her words suggest we must not be afraid of the opinions of other people or of the attitude of the authority or of the reactions of the members of our community to the things we want to do. For Aung San Suu Kyi, living a dignified human life requires us to be able to overcome such fear. After these two great stories, let's know about what is freedom. Freedom is said to exist when external constraints on individuals are absent. An individual could be considered free if he or she is not subject to external constraints and is able to make individual decisions and act in autonomous way. The absence of constraints is only the dimension of the freedom. A freedom can only be attained or achieved if there are no constraints between our path to freedom. With this, let's know about the aspects of freedom, as there are two aspects: the absence of external constraints and the existence of the conditions in which people can develop their talents. So friends, we can also say that the first aspect of freedom is negative liberty and the second aspect of freedom is positive liberty. We will discuss about positive and negative liberty in the end of the video. So let's continue with freedom. So I hope you have cleared with the word constraints, that means control. Freedom is considered valuable because it allows to make choices and to exercise our judgment. It permits the exercise of individuals' power of reason and judgment. No individual living in the society can hope to enjoy the total absence of any kind of constraints or restrictions. For example, let's take India. In India, we have freedom, but freedom in a limit or in a constraint. In the opposite, let's take the example of Pakistan. In the Pakistan, there is a lot of freedom, but the freedom without constraints, which is negative freedom. Now let's know about the sources of constraints. The form of constraint represented by the colonial rulers over the subjects or by the system of apartheid in South Africa is one of the sources of constraints. A democratic government may be considered to be important means of protecting the individual freedom of people. The quotation from Subhash Chandra Bose on freedom draws attention to the need for the country to work to remove such constraints. Now, let's know about why do we need constraints. Friends, every society needs some of the mechanism or organization to control violence or settle disputes. Ideally, in a free society, we should be able to hold our views, develop our rules of living, and pursue our choices. To maintain peace, discipline, violence, and a free life, some constraints should be there in a society. Now, let's know about harm principle. So friends, the essay of John Stuart Mill on liberty draws two type of harm principle. Minor harm principle and major harm principle. For minor harm, Mill recommends only social disapproval and not the force of law. Now we come to two definitions that are self-regarding actions and other regarding actions. Those actions that have consequences only for the individual actor is the self-regarding actions, but those actions that also have consequences for the others is other regarding action. Now let's move ahead to liberalism. Friends, as a political ideology, liberalism has been identified with tolerance as a value. Liberals have often defended the right of a person to hold and express his or her opinions and beliefs. Liberals and titles like society, community, etc. have value. For liberals, entitles like society, community, etc. have value only if these are valued as individuals. Historically, liberalism favored free market and minimal role to the state. Present day, liberalism acknowledges a role of welfare state and accepts the measures to reduce the inequalities. Now friends, do you remember? In the aspects of freedom, we have discussed about negative and positive liberty. Now, let's know about these two types of liberty in brief. Firstly, let's start with negative liberty. It seeks to define and defend an area in which the individual would be inviolable, in which he or she could do, be, and become whatever she wished to do, be, and become. Area in which no external authority can interfere is called negative liberty. It is considered only with the inviolable area of non-interference and not with the conditions in society. Now, secondly, let's know about positive liberty. It recognizes that one can be free only in a society. It tries to make that society says that it enables the development of an individual. The great thinkers of long tradition such as Rousseau, Hegel, Marx and Gandhi practice this type of liberty. Now, let's end our today's video with our last topic, that is freedom of expression. Here at the starting we have Voltaire's statement that I will disapprove of what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. Now let's discuss some of the examples related to the freedom of expression. Example number 1. The example number 1 discusses about Deepa Mehta. She is a filmmaker and wanted to make a film about the widows in Varanasi. It sought to explore the plight of widows, but there was strong protest from a section of the polity who felt that it would show India in a very bad light. The example number 2 discusses about two books, Ramayana retold by Abre Menon and the Satanic Verses by Salman Rushdie. These two books were banned after the protest from some sections of the society. Example number 3. This example consists of a film, The Last Temptation of Christ, and a play, Me Mathuram Bolte. These two were banned after many protests from a section of a society. And at last, example number 4. The example of England's royal house. In England, anyone who is employed to work for a royal family is constrained by the contract from not writing and delivering the speech about the household of the royal family of England. With this, let's move ahead to our 4 reasons of why there should be freedom of expression for those who expose ideas that appear false. The reason number 1 is no idea is completely false. If we ban false ideas, we would lose that element of the truth that they contain. Reason number 2. Truth doesn't encouraged by itself. It will only through a conflict of opposing views that truth emerge. Example number 3. This conflict of ideas is valuable in the past and continuing value for all times. Truth always runs the risk of being reduced to an unthinking clique. It is only when we expose it to opposing views that we can be sure that this idea is truthworthy. Reason number 4. We can't be sure that what we consider true is actually true. It can be false. So this is all about today's video. I hope you have learned a lot of things from this video. I will make another video based on this topic with a full research of constitutional amendments articles regarding this topic. So up to that, take care, stay home and stay safe. And be tuned for getting my latest updates. Subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon. Thank you everyone for watching this amazing and wonderful video.
So friends, here is the site of National Geographic where we found some content related to Nelson Mandela and the struggle done by him against the apartheid regime. The topic discussed in this website is how Nelson Mandela fought against apartheid regime and why his work is not complete. Here we have given the Nelson Mandela's early life, apartheid and activism, prisoners, post-apartheid leadership and much more. Here you can log in or subscribe for getting connected with National Geographic, as this website is the very best website for reading such important topics related to national or international news. There is another website, that is Wikipedia, on which the complete information given related to Nelson Mandela. Here you can also get the PDF of this article by downloading it through the side menu. So, for getting more knowledge, besides the autobiography, besides the video, you can also get the knowledge from this and the another website which I have told that are Wikipedia and National Geographic. I will also provide the link in the description, so just check it out.